All right, we're good.
Awesome, man.
All right, so with this one, let's go ahead and start with analyzing the workday.
Okay. So, as far as analyzing the workday, what I have come up with, worked on each day is different from me, just because of the role that I have to play. And when I was looking over, I feel like throughout my day, I manage my day is really like geared towards managing. So how can I put this? Every day is different. So every day it's not. I tried to organize it, but I realized every day I was starting my day with something different. It wasn't like on schedule or following a certain task. It was like whatever came up this day, I hopped on it. And that's how I pretty much started my day. This past week, I noticed that I'm all over the place with that. So is that a bad thing? Like not having like my day kind of like structured or organized?
I mean, it is one thing to say, is it bad if I'm doing something different every day versus is it bad that my day is not structured? I would say yes to the latter, that if your day is not structured, then you're going to be continually responding to things and you don't want to respond. You want to be the initiator of things. You don't want to just be in constant like response mode, like, because then that's like a delayed effect. You want to be the one initiating things in your business, not responding to everything in your business. You know what I'm saying? But in regards to doing something different every day, going back to the example of what we were talking about with raising kids, well, yeah, there's no formula for it. So of course things are going to be different in your business because your business is a baby. You know what I'm saying? It is like a young kid, like you're going to be doing different things every day. So that's fine. But as far as like not having it structured, because then this is, you know how they talk about like with babies, you have to get them on a feeding schedule. Otherwise you're just gonna be crying and doing it. It's like, no, I'm only going to feed you at this time. I'm only going to feed you at this time. In the same manner, if you are constantly in response mode, bro, you're constantly going to be just like stressed, doing the different things, always responding when people your business / your people, whatever it is, needs to know it's this time that I'm doing this time that I'm doing this. And then you also have to know, okay, but for these other things, okay, maybe this is like because they're emergencies, I got to just be ready. Just given the nature of this business, I always got to be ready. So I wouldn't say it's bad that you have to respond to different things, but this is the point of this week. What I want to do is cut through all the crap of like, am I really doing the best thing possible for where I want to go? I know I'm doing stuff because you are. You're not doing stuff, but like, am I doing the most right now with where I want to go? Or am I kind of just doing things because they need to be done? Because the point of what I want to do with you this week is to say, like, let's take email, for example.
Okay.
Half of the emails that you deal with, or I shouldn't give you your number, but you can know X amount of emails that you deal with could have been handled by someone else, and X amount could only be handled by you. But is it true that 100% of the emails that you deal with need to be handled by you? Is it? Yep. Is you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
So with the ones, what we're trying to do with like this week is, and again, because I'm not there looking at all your stuff, I'm more just trying to like guide you with the stuff so you can be asking yourself this question when you're coming across it, and like then being able to sort out based off what we've talked about. But for the stuff that is not essential that you do, we need to start filtering that and saying not Lorenzo. So when you say not Lorenzo, but Lorenzo's dealing with it, you need to say, what can I do? Who do I either need to hire, train, or outsource this to where I'm not even thinking about this anymore? And when I do train them, I have confidence in them to be able to get this thing done. Because if I give it to them, but I'm still thinking about it, well then now you just gave yourself another thing and you actually didn't take anything away, because now you still need the thing to get done and now you're checking on them. So you gave yourself another thing. And I feel like that's resonating with you because of the way you're smiling.
I do that all the time, man. I do it all the time, dude. And if I can elaborate on that, it's like I think of it the way that you're saying it. I just can't get away from it, um, because I don't have that trust or that confidence in, the people that I'm delegating the work to. So I always find myself managing, like you said, always find myself responding,
Yeah.
almost like a fireman, man, just constantly just putting out, fires that I feel as though it's my fault. I created.
And in Lorenzo, just FYI, the goal is to never stop putting out fires. The goal is to just start putting out bigger fires, because fires are always going to go on. You feel what I'm saying? So you're not going to run away from being a fireman, but you would just hope as time goes on. It's like with again, like with dealing with the kids. You don't mind constantly correcting them, even if they're in their 20s. If they say, "Hey, like what went wrong here?" You can tell them, "Hey, this is what went wrong." But you hope you wouldn't have to say, "Look both ways before crossing the street." That's like super elementary stuff. You don't want to keep dealing with.
Yep.
Why aren't you looking both ways? You know what I'm saying? There's things that you deal with at this level and this level and this level. So you're not going to stop putting out fires. Just that's just the nature of things. But you just want to graduate to certain levels of the kind of fires that you're putting out. Because if right now it's like a certain email, you best believe CEOs aren't paying attention to the certain email that a random customer service rep sent, unless it's like awful. But even then, they probably have someone to manage that, and then someone to manage that, and then if it's like really out of bad, then they'll get the CEO to come do things. But yeah, you're not going to get out of like the handling fires, but you want to. And this is one thing that I was going to say to you when you were talking about like giving yourself further responsibility. Here's my suggestion to you. Because you need to work on trust with your various employees, and whatever other things are going on in your head, here's what my suggestion would be to you.
Okay.
Give yourself a range that you can go without checking. So here's what I mean. I give a responsibility to X employee or Y employee to handle an email. Let's say my urge is to like check up 30 minutes later and like, hey, did you get done? How'd it go? Da-da-da-da. I want you to say, hey, I'm gonna go 2 hours. I'm still gonna check today because I gotta check today.
Right.
But I'm gonna go 2 hours this time. I'm gonna go 2 hours and I'm not even gonna think about it, not gonna work because I gave it to them. And then after 2 hours, then I'll check. And you know what you can do the next time? Hey, this time I'm gonna go 4 hours. And eventually what you can do for yourself is you're training your brain. Hey, this is important. We still need to focus on this because of where we're at in the business, but you don't need to think about this for the next 4 hours. And eventually it's going to build up to 12 hours. And then eventually it's going to go, hey, you can then talk to them tomorrow. And then your brain's going to know the difference between a normal email and then a very urgent email. Because for a very urgent email, you may go, okay, we're checking on this like later today because this one needs to be sent by today. But now your brain is not treating all emails as the same type of emails. Does that make sense? So
Yes, sir.
I actually think this is going to be something that you need to talk to yourself about and give yourself the leash. Give yourself further of a leash because you need to train yourself between what's urgent and what can be handled by someone else versus what's urgent and what needs to be handled like by the end of the day, or my bad, what's urgent and what's not urgent, and both in the category of someone else handling it. So it's giving yourself a leash and like more room. You feel me?
Yep. I feel you, man. That's it, dude. That's exactly it. Those are the things I need to do because I'm just so attached. Another thing, Paul, if I can mention, I don't think it's really off topic, and you tell me. So I was looking at all the things, sales and focusing on equipment, accounting, recruiting, establishing, the proper, business credit and everything that we need so we can, retain and preserve some of the, the cash that comes in, managing, like I mentioned earlier, all these things I feel like I'm so attached to, and I think that would be a great method for me to just, because like I said, it's only really, it's Krista and myself. It's Krista and myself that does all the financing and the emailing and everything. Anything with financials, I guess it's just me and her because that's where my trust is. But I feel like I kind of grew. I grew really. I grew so fast and didn't put the proper people in place. So now I'm playing catch up so that it won't, spiral out of control. So that's why I feel myself being in these roles. I kind of like over leverage myself.
Sure.
Sure. So that's where I'm struggling at, because what you're saying, you're hitting all the key points, even not even being here or seeing it on the day-to-day basis. That's exactly how, okay, who does that? Me, Krista. I have Krista's my wife, the one that you met.
Right.
Right. And we have like a dispatcher. She has her responsibility. And an old partner, he'll be coming back, to help out with the business within the next couple of weeks. But it's just stuff, because those things, that everything that you just said, like who can I give this to, or can I think about doing this that way? When I think about those things, it's always, left up to Krista or myself. I can train our dispatcher to do it, but I'm not really sure if she's prepared for that. So what I'm trying to say is, I'm a small but big company in a way. I'm a small business.
Right.
But yeah, I have so much going on, and it's like I can wear a lot of roles. Like just like you said last week, you said, Lorenzo, how much do you care about working? How much are you working in the business or on the business? So I feel like I do both, around the clock until I'm almost burnt out, and that's not good, especially if I want to grow, like you said. But the personnel, or actually training someone to do it right now, it will either be our dispatch or, this partner that's coming on within the next couple weeks.
Okay.
Hiring somebody. Okay, I'm listening.
So here's the next thing that I hope is a aha moment, and it's going to teach you to go from linear, which is what you're thinking about right now with training, to exponential.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is going to take some time, just FYI, but it's going to help you go exponential instead of linear. For each of the things that you do, I want you to start doing checklists. Okay. So I don't care if it's something that you don't plan to outsource for 5 years, or I don't care. Everything that you do, I want you to now go, what am I thinking that makes me do it this way? So my finances. Okay. I go to this website. What's the first thing I check? I go here. I go here. I go here. I don't care if the checklist is 20 points long. You're going to start making checklists for everything. Okay. What this is going to do, you're going to start understanding, you're going to start putting to paper the systems that are unconsciously going on in your head. You're going to start doing step one. I go to www. whatever. Step one, I open up whatever Excel sheet. Step one, I read it. The first way that I process is XYZ. You're going to start putting down to paper everything that's going on up in here, because for you, it's natural. But when you're training, the reason why there's a disconnect is because you're only giving half the steps audibly, but you don't realize the other steps are unconscious. But you only gave your employees the conscious steps. Hey, respond to this email and be kind. Well, what about the other 10 things that you thought about unconsciously that helped you answer the email well? You see what I'm saying? So here's what I want you to do in your business. And this is, it's going to take some time, but you're going to start making checklists of everything that you do, whether it's 5 steps or whether it's 20 steps. And you know what? Every time now you can start doing, when you start outsourcing an email or start checking, whatever it's going to be, Here's a checklist. If you have a question after you've gone through everything on the checklist and double check, triple check, then come talk to me. And because you've done it so many times, you now are able to identify right where they need their help, or if they're getting something wrong, because it's so natural for you because you've done it a million times. You hear what I'm saying? So this is going to allow you to systematize your business in every single part of your business. Because right now, Lorenzo, you don't realize how many systems you got going on in your head. You got a different system for checking finances. You got a different system for recruiting people. You got a different system for responding to emails, different system for all these different things. But dude, they're in your own head. And like I said, half of them you don't consciously think about because you've just been doing them, and it keeps your head above water. When you write these things out and you now are able to say, hey, do this, and you don't really need to talk to them. It's literally step 1, go here. Step 2, go here. They can now reference the checklist. And you know what that does for them? Puts them at more ease because you're not over their shoulder and then have to do it perfectly on the first time without anything written down. Why don't you do it? Why don't you do it right? You kind of told me some stuff, and half the people forget. So think about this. If half the things that you spoke to them were half of what goes on in your head, and then half of them, let's be generous, they retain, that means they got a quarter of what actually goes on in your head. They only got a quarter. Of course they're not going to do it right. Of course they're not going to do it well. You hear what I'm saying?
Man, I hear what you're saying, dude, because
that's it.
That's what they tell me, man. That's what they tell me. Especially, Krista, because like I told you last week, she's so close to me. She was here since I built it, and I thought I was teaching her everything, but that's what I do. I'm just giving her the surface. So when I say, remember I said I'm always selling. I'm out here, booking the loads and speaking with the middleman, the broker, so that we can bring in as much work as possible. And, with her just being around me and listening and seeing how I'm doing it, I say, this is what you got to do, or whatever like that. So when I put her to the test and she does it, and then we revisit it, she said, of course it's not, and I appreciate it so much, but she said, of course it's not, the way you want it, or I'm not in your head.
Exactly.
And it's like, man, she said that was connected. She said, I'm not in your head. I'm only doing what I see, and then I guess she's just improvising or doing what she thinks is right, and what she thinks is right might not be the way that, I see it or how I do it, but I never laid it out the way that you said, man. So, man, that's huge. It just like came together. Dude, I want to pay you like 5 or 10. I'm telling you, man, to come. I want to get these people, the team around me, like good, and I really want you to do. I don't know, man. You got to create like some kind of service, man. Even like not, like managing a big corporation, dude. You just have it just seems like the right answers, and that's it. Every time I talk to you, I feel like, man, is that what I'm supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
Dude.
Well, like I said, bro, this, whether, I don't know. There's probably a myriad of factors, God's gifting, the different readings, whatever. But it is, I love being, here's what it was. I was right too many times in personal conversations and private conversations that I was having with my mom, my brother, whatever, whether it would just be like different predictions or how things are running or, just so many things. I was like, dude, I need to find a way to help. And that's why I really figured it was the Lord who brought us back together. Cause I was like, here's a perfect opportunity for me to serve a way that I feel like the Lord's given me a little thing. And that's not to say that I'm even, that's not to say that I'm even anything special. Cause here's what I honestly think, Lorenzo, and this is going to be the next thing that I was going to say to you. The teacher who does not have his students succeed and even possibly surpass him, in my opinion, or her, in my opinion, is a teacher who failed to teach. And here's why. I have a personal belief that if I was able to think like any one person, like whatever master in their field, if I was able to think like them, I would know how to do what they're doing. And it may sound like an obvious statement, but here's the thing that we don't say about it. We say, oh, that person's good with English. That person's good with coding. That person's good with finances. No. Their brain thinks a certain way to be good with it. They are not good with it. They'll tell you themselves, oh, it comes naturally. It comes naturally. Okay, if it comes naturally, it's not them.
Right. Yep.
So it's a way of thinking. It's a way of thinking. It's a way that the brain processes. Why is someone good at mathematics and someone else is good at like interpreting literature? Because both identify patterns, one within numbers, one within words. It's a way of thinking, bro. It's not that this is like natural stuff. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about learning, because I'm like, okay, maybe here's my ability. But what if I adopted the mindset of this person who's good at this? Maybe I'm not naturally there, but I promise you, if I think like them, if they can teach me well, they will. Me being the student, I will produce the work that they produce. Plain and simple. Like I just have that belief. Some people they're like, no. I promise I'm only good at English. Okay, and you're right. You will only be good because you're telling your brain don't recognize patterns in math. You don't realize, dude.
Yeah.
One of the things that you're doing whenever, and I'm not saying you, but I'm saying people now.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is,
No.
this,
No. I'm listening.
this is on my topic of like just learning. One of the things people don't realize when they are talking about learning, when they say no, I'm only good at such and such, they are telling their brain to literally consciously block out possible patterns that they could see within math because they're saying no. And I don't think we realize the effect that our words and our mindset have on our own learning capabilities. We box ourselves up. Like some people will say that I'm probably overly ambitious if I were to tell someone all the different goals that I have for learning, but I truly think the brain is capable of so much more than we can possibly fathom. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to adopt a mindset to be as open as possible, with these different things. But anyways, yeah, that was just like a little tangent to say you, Lorenzo, are special, but don't think what you know is special. You as a person are, and I want to uphold that. But don't think what you know is. Therefore, be completely open with what you know and systematize everything. Because the more that you can build people up around you, the more that they're going to also build you up.
Yeah. You God is good, man. Can't really say it on. This is what I pray for.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I pray for, man. It's amazing. It's amazing.
So what do you feel, because the two things, and I'm writing this down right now, the two things that we've gone over so far is a checklist for everything and the putting trust in your own head, being able to get away from whatever you just delegated. Because that's the thing that we talked about earlier, giving yourself 2 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours, 12, and eventually being able to just be able to have someone be autonomous. Do you have any questions thus far with what we have gone over, or any specifics within that?
Okay. So as far as finding the trust within myself, I know that's something that I have to, obviously speak with myself about, or in my own head. But the portion I will have is, I guess that's something I gotta ask myself based on being around these people. But how would I know which person around me to, share this information with? Or is that because I hear it all the time, like you said, man, they say, oh, I don't know how to do this, or I can't. And like you said, it's shutting them down. So even if I am teaching them how to do it, they're not being receptive to it, or their mind isn't, they're not retaining it because they already feel incompetent. They don't, so do I find new people? But then I have to, that's a question that I ask myself, okay, the people that I have around me, super grateful for them. They brought me to this point. But do I need to find new people to help me achieve my next level of goal? So that's the question I have is, how do I find the person within, my staff and, teach them? Is it the person that's willing and wants to learn, or do I just force this on the person that I feel as though will be the best fit for what I need to teach them?
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm clear on that.
Yeah, you 100% are. So I'll answer this question. It's in an inexperienced way, but it's the way that I've began to process with what my plans are to do with different people. Okay. So that I'll answer the best.
Yeah.
One, understanding human psychology, we could say forcing almost never works. It can work, but it also creates disloyalty and bitterness.
Right.
So you can
Right.
force and it will work for the short term, but everything that we do, we talked about this with the marketing when we were talking about marketing. There's short term and there's long term. What works out in the short term may not work in the long term, but what always works in the long term, well, hold on, let me go back. What works in the short term won't always work in the long term. What works in the long term doesn't always pay off and show up in the short term. But whenever you play the long-term move, from an integrity standpoint, you're almost always making the right decision. Now, sometimes you have to supplement it with different short-term marketing campaigns and whatnot, but playing the long game is almost always, from a character standpoint, the best thing to do. So in the same manner with like dealing with your employees, you can force, but what you're actually going to do is just delay a problem that's going to actually get bigger, because now your company is going to grow, but now you're going to have to find a new talent, and you're going to have to deal with a bitter employee leaving, which who knows what reviews they're going to leave on random Google and whatever else with the people they're talking to. So answering the question, I would not force, but that's not a definite say don't force, because there's plenty of people who do. I would look, and I would start looking at not previous qualifications, but rather ability and desire to learn. I would much rather take someone who's hungry with no previous like resume of experience than to have someone who's experienced and satisfied.
Right.
I prefer hunger over experience a lot, but this also just depends on the type of position. Or are you going to take some random ambitious person and put them at a C-suite? Not at all. you need experience there. You need that. But for what we're talking about, we're not dealing with the C-suite stuff right now. We're dealing with, hey, can you recruit some people for me? Or hey, can you get some salespeople? Or hey, can you get some emails? Dude, you just need any person who's willing to learn. You feel me? You just need any person who's willing to learn, because we're not talking about C-suite stuff right now. We're talking about just normal everyday kind of activities that, some may or less have, different pressures and different ramifications, but nothing too impactful that you need a lot of experience to deal with. You know what I'm saying? So I have thought about this mainly in terms of mindset. With a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be hiring out, I'm looking particularly for mindset. And one of the things that I'm looking for is an absolute desire and a hunger to learn. Another one is an absolute desire and a hunger to grow. And another one is an absolute need for integrity. One of the most interesting questions that you can ask someone is, like, I'm going to give you the formula for it. It's along the lines of, if you were to do X and no one were to find, or it's, would you rather do X and no one find out about it, or not do X, but everyone think you did X? That question will tell you a lot about someone's integrity. It's, would you rather get away with something and no one know about it, or not do something, but everyone believe that you did that awful thing? It tells you a lot about a person's internal desire to stay, at peace within themselves, or if they would rather have external desire and validation from others. It's a very, very interesting question that can show a lot about integrity.
Man, I like that, man. That's because I don't even think the crew that I have, a lot of them were just, they were like, how can I say this? Almost like curious to how things work, or they just wanted to. I guess they wanted more, but they didn't really. I don't know. I didn't look for those things in them, and I didn't even ask them questions like that. So that a lot of accountability I take. All the things that I'm going to.
Perfect. Good.
Accountability for everything. Just looking in retrospect, it's like, man, without even asking the proper, questions I just put them in this situation. They trusted me. They trusted me to lead. I brought them to a certain position. They did it. But like you said, what I did was not thinking that way, because that's not the kind of person that I am, you know. But it was short term. I'm focusing on long term, but the actions that I took, I just put these people in position and didn't think, how it would affect me long term. And everything that you said is so true, because now that we're it's not the end, but it's at the end of, how can I say it? It's at the end of, help me, Paul. I'm trying to find a word. So I put something in place, and I reached that peak,
Yeah.
I said, all right, we're going to do so on and so forth. And I reached that peak. Now it's like, okay, like, where do I go from here? Now I got to go deep inside that person and kind of like convince them to help keep pushing to the next level. Man, it's taking up so much of my time. But if initially I would have asked the correct questions to bring it out of this person, I would have known if this person would, X person would have been prepared for the next level, or the next phase of growing. And that's something, that's where I felt that as, managing or a leader, but.
And you want to know, this may be a little aha, another one of these aha moments as well. But so let's take this for consideration.
Okay.
Why does business nowadays have contracts? Well, it's not that we don't trust each other, but it's just to make sure that we follow through on our word. And if we don't, there's a certain thing that we do, because there's also what's known as the gentleman's handshake, right? And if the whole world operated on gentleman's handshake, that would be preferable. But we know not everyone's a gentleman, and therefore they go against their word and cross it. So we need contracts. In the same manner, when you bring on a new employee, I'm ambitious, I'm willing to learn, I love where the company's going. They're going to talk a lot. We're going to trust. We're going to trust. We're going to say you're probably a gentleman. And this is for girls too. I'm just giving an example. We're going to trust that they are like that. But you know what? A good thing to start implementing for you, Lorenzo, is what's called as a testing period. You have a 30-day, 60-day, and 90-day testing period. At 30 days, they need to hit certain metrics. At 60 days, they need to hit certain metrics. And at 90 days, they need to hit certain metrics. That makes it objective and not subjective. That makes it, hey, I believed you, and you were going to follow through on your stuff by hitting these objective points that we have. We're going to have these X amount of emails responded to. We're going to have these, X amount of time spent, with whatever the case may be, but whatever objective metrics that you can do for that certain position. And that puts, now back to the checklists, that puts trust between you two, because now there's a certain thing that they're looking to, and they're not always having to ask you. And now you're not having to motivate them. They know, well, shoot, if I don't hit these metrics, well, I agreed to it at the beginning. I agreed, and I talked a big talk, so I know it's on me now, and now it's not a personal thing. You get what I'm saying? So you put these 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, and then they're fully onboarded. But if they don't hit it in the 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, unless obviously an emergency goes on, which that's a different story, but they know it. They know it. So they know, oh, great, I got a job now. I don't have to worry. Now I can kind of chill. Oh, crap, I'm still on the line 30, 69 days. And you know what? After 90 days, like what we talked about with quarters and thirds of the year, now a habit.
Yep, it's a habit. Yep.
You see exactly what I'm saying now?
That's my dog, man. That's my dog, man. That's my boy, man. Oh, dude. This one is going down, man. It just gets better and better every week, dude. Really, man. Really, man. It really does. So, with that being said, it is aha, too. It's like, it's really aha. Because I don't put those certain metrics. I don't put those things in between. It's like, it's a handshake thing, because that's how I am. I'm a man of my word. That's how I want to be, and that's how I expect anybody that I'm dealing with, and I can't do that. I can't take that approach. Like you said, I have to have that testing period in between. You know, I know that that's how I am because, you know, I don't know. I always been like that. I worked on it.
Yep.
You know, that's my focus. You know, that's how I want to be. But this person, they can tell. And a lot of people, I went through about 6 people since I've been, you know, in business for almost 3 years. 3 years would be November, but so 2.5 years. I went through 6 people, you know, and nobody lasted. Man, nobody lasted more than 4 months, maybe. And that 4th month, that last month, they were just, you know, hanging on by a thread. But I didn't have these certain, you know, metrics or objectives or points in between, you know, those certain time periods. So it was just kind of like all over the place. But you know, who can I blame? I can't really blame.
That's right. That's right. You cannot blame them. It's the teacher and it's the boss.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep.
So yeah, this is something I want to get. I want to be better at. But is that now? The question that I have is that my place?
Yeah.
You know, do I build someone? Because I can share it, I can deliver it and give it to somebody and teach them how to do it. But is it my place to every person that comes on, you know, on board to our establishment? Is that, you know, my role, or should that be my role? You know, because I feel as though when I do things like this, it takes off the most important part. Because management, okay, I'm going to be honest with myself. It's all over the place because, as you can see, the key points, I'm not even, you know, I'm not even hitting. The psychology is there. I can manage a person. I can keep their head in the game. But as far as objectives, I don't really hold these people accountable to, you know, hitting certain points. It's like, I need you to do this. This is how you do it now. Now go do it. You know, or not really, this is how you do it. It's like, I need you to do this. All right, now do it. Do it. Or this is how I would do it. Like, get it done.
Yep.
You know, or whatever like that. Almost like the mentality, commit, figure the rest out later kind of mentality, but it's catching up to me because I'll commit and I'll do anything, you know, but when it finally catches up to you, you're like, this big, and it's like, dude, can you handle? I can handle the weight. Like, I can handle, and this goes back to what we were talking about before we got on the camera. I can handle like high stress levels. I can handle all these things, but the person that, you know, I was confident in just because of an initial conversation, you know, and this is how my partner, if I can mention, this is how he ended up leaving, because once it got so, the weight felt like your shoulders, I'm like, dude, we got to keep pushing. This is how we do it. We want to see through, but we can't let it get the best of us. Man, it broke them, you know, but it all goes back to what you were saying. So,
yeah.
Do you think, and I just want your honest opinion, and I know in my mind, I never tell myself, you know, that it can't be fixed, because I've made so many errors in my life and corrected them. You know, a lot of the stuff I hop on right away. I don't really let things linger in my life because it'll get out of control outside of, you know, I guess this. But as far as like controlling myself, I don't let things, you know, get too far. You know, with my self-development and stuff, I won't. If I'm going through something, I like to address it and fix it right away, so that I can kind of be bigger than it. If that sounds right, you know. But what I'm trying to say, Paul, is, dude, I don't know, lost my train of thought. But
you had a question for me, bro. You had a question for me. What was the question?
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. So the question is, I did all these things, and I got to this point. But as you can see, just over our conversations for these last few weeks, it's a lot of cleaning up that I need to do, and it's like, can this be repaired at this level, or are things already supposed to be in place? Because I don't want to say that I'm over leveraged to the point where it can't be handled. I can handle it, but I'm over leveraged to the point where I feel it's like the positions that I need to put people in, it's going to take, like you said, it's going to take time, but it's not going to allow me to be profitable.
Yeah.
You know? So
Can you hear me?
I'm not going to be making what I need to make because, you know, in business right now. You froze up, buddy. Carly?
I was gonna say, yeah. Can you hear me? Because you went out for a while too, but you said something about not being profitable, yada yada, and that's the last I heard.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So I was saying that okay, I grew the business so fast without having, you know, management in place or even thinking about it. You know, thinking that I can handle these things, or they were kind of like handle themselves along the way with me just, you know, leading the way. They'll kind of just, you know, fall into place or come together, which is clearly not true or hasn't been true. Do you think I can repair, you know, the damage? And like I said, I never tell myself that it's beyond repair or that I can't correct it or fix it, because I've had, you know, worse situations and overcome them by applying myself or finding out, you know, certain ways, you know, to make the situation better. So just based off you talking to me and knowing that I need these things in order and it will take time, do you think I have to like break it down and do it all over again?
So you ever heard? I'm gonna give you a couple different angles on this, but you ever heard about the idea of taking one step back to take two steps forward?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So with that idea, that's probably what you're gonna have to do, and that's okay because you're in it for the long term and not for the short term. With what you're talking about, one, I don't think it's gonna dig as much into your profits as you will think. I think it's gonna dig into your time more. So you actually might be more time strapped than you've ever been before, but you're gonna get more time strapped to get more time released. And the thing that you're not thinking about, yes, you're hiring people, but when you hire people right and not wrong, it actually increases profit exponentially rather than takes away from profit. Think about this. Think about a customer service rep. They aren't necessarily doing anything to increase profit. But what does good customer service do to the customer base? Well, it increases client retention. It increases client satisfaction. Those are intangibles, Lorenzo, because when you have a increased client retention and increased client satisfaction, what does a happy client do?
Yes.
They talk. They go and get someone.
Yep.
So a customer service rep isn't in your marketing budget, yet the satisfied customer just went and marketed to his or her friends and said, hey, go use this service. So there's a bunch of intangibles. Okay, your other employees that you're going to be training. There may not be tangibles with this, bro, but with the intangibles, when you do things right, you don't know how it's going to return, but you know it returns to you. So I, without looking at your numbers and all this stuff, I don't think it would eat as much into your profits as what you're talking about, but it will take emotional strength and time to rework the whole underpinnings of the company. Because your job as a CEO, one of the main responsibilities that, at least in my opinion, that I see as a CEO is maintaining culture and driving vision. You're about to shake up the culture because you're about to go to checklists, objectives, and accountability. And we're not just going to be emotional driving. I'm still going to do that because like that's who I am. But like, we're going to start hitting objectives. So you're about to shake up some culture. And that may or may not be okay with some people because they go, oh crap, I haven't been really doing a whole bunch, but now my butt's going to be on the line. That's good because what you're doing is raising the standard. But what happens when you raise a standard? People either raise with it or they leave. And you'd actually rather them leave and bring on new people who are willing to meet the standard than keep your standards low.
Dude, God is good, man. Because that's it, dude. You're hitting that's it. Like I said, if you heard what I said earlier, I just kind of like put these people in place, and then once we got to a certain level, I had to make the adjustment. I had to, kind of restructure, and the people that didn't want to, conform or, implement, the new rules or push themselves beyond another level, they left, so I had to replace them. And when they left, I didn't have, in my butt, like when I had these people on the team, eventually I knew that they will outgrow or they will leave or eventually, fall off or whatever. It wasn't going to be like a forever type deal or whatever like that. But it stopped a lot around me, because I depended on these people to, to drive revenue, to get these things done. For example, I lost three people, if I can mention, which were drivers. And I would earn, on average, $120,000 a month. And as soon as they didn't want to, make the adjustment and abide by the new rules, it broke them, and it took away about, 50,000 of the money that I was operating on. Now, you can see over these last probably month and a half, I kind of been like, just all over trying to figure out, all right, where did I go wrong? What can I do? What do I need to focus on more? So, man, you hit it right on the money, man. It is going to shake up the people that I have. And I think that's why I take on, you just help me find, God is good, man. You just help me find out something within me, because that's why I just, I bear the burden. I take on the burden or the bigger portion and play all these roles, because the people that I have around me, thanks for, helping me see this. The people that I have around me, I don't want to say I'm afraid, but I know if I put a certain title or give them certain responsibilities, it will shake them up and it will affect, what I have going on now. And I don't know if I'm, prepared for that. Yeah. I'm not really prepared for that.
That's very good for you to observe of yourself. And you're going to have to ask yourself those questions. Am I willing to go through this? Because one of the other things that you're going to get, Lorenzo, when you raise standards, oh, this guy's just about money. Oh, this guy's just, oh, this guy thinks he's good. Oh, this. People will respond emotionally when you raise the standards. You're going to have to realize that. And when you can answer from the bottom of your heart, I'm trying to improve my life, my family's life, and my employees' life. Those who are willing to improve with me, your life will get better. If you're not willing to have hard conversations, yeah, this company is not probably the right one for you. But you need to start thinking about your employees, Lorenzo, when you start hitting these metrics and, doing all this stuff. You need to start thinking about it in a way that you literally, your job as their boss is to help them improve. And you are actually failing them if you don't help them improve. Again, with where you're going now. Yeah. In the past is the past, but with where you're going now, like even with our relationship, bro, I frankly don't care if you love everything that I say. If I don't see improvement in like with your stuff, I think I failed because I'm not doing this to have you go, wow, that was some good. I don't care because ultimately, that's not what this is about. I literally hope it helps you and changes your whole business. Like that's the difference between the business world and the classroom. One is theory, one's practicality. In this world, we want things to get done.
Yeah.
In the classroom, we just like, oh wow, this guy's smart. This guy, that's why I'm not in that theory stuff. My role with you, I'm like, no, this stuff needs to change and we're gonna make it better. And so you need to start thinking about that with your new employees that you bring on or your current ones, whatever it is, you're saying standards being changed around here. If you're okay with that, I promise you, you're gonna grow with me and your life's gonna get better. If you're not okay with that, it's okay. It's tough, but they're going to be moving on. So that would be a way that I think when they see as a boss, not only that you're willing to work just as hard, but even harder, and that you care about them. And now there's measurable things, not just hoorah, motivation, all the stuff. There's measurable things, and you're investing in them. Dude, relationships change. Relationships get deeper. They now view their company as part of their own, not just as your boss.
Yeah, man, that's huge. I'm going to need this recording, man. I don't know where you're stashing these things, man, but
I'm posting them on YouTube, which, by the way, I've been taking some notes too, because that's what I told you at the beginning. Again, all this stuff I'm trying to practice also what I'm preaching to you, because I've been making notes here and I'm going to be sending them to you afterwards. Just like a few points that you can be like, okay, this was our talking points. Now, granted, we did not hit the driving sales today. That's fine. We can do that next week. Because we got plenty. You got plenty to think about. But yeah, I'll send it over. But yeah, I'm putting them on my YouTube channel. I upload them on Sundays. So
man, man, they gotta see this one because really, dude, this is real life. This is what people want. They wanna be out here. A lot of us, everybody wants to be entrepreneurs and stuff, but this is what you really have to go through. Me, I'm in it, and mentally I have to be strong. I have to be there, and then just the way that, you built your mind to view things and see things. These are all, they have to be equipped with this if they want to be, one of the greats, we're working towards that, yourself and myself, we're working towards being great. We're not saying, that we're all the way there, but these are the things that, you need to have, or these are the skills or characteristics and mindsets that you need to have if you want to succeed in this field, and make a difference in your life and the lives of others, man. Because,
Yep. So with next week, with next week, we'll talk about what drives sales. We can talk about that a little bit. We could talk about some of your checklists that you made. But I want you to focus on this next week. Your checklist needs to be just out the wazoo. You're not going to be changing anything. Don't worry about changing anything too much. I mean, you can do what you want. It's your stuff. But make your checklist for everything. You're going to start seeing how many things you do just unconsciously. You're like, oh, I didn't even realize that this whole process, I do 20 things here just for this one thing. I never realized that. But it's going to start freeing you up when you rest. And by the way, I'm saying with your checklist, something as simple as, even if the person knows, open up the Excel sheet, that literally needs to be step number one. Because it is the whole checklist, like step number, open up the Excel, whatever it would be. So I want you to focus on your checklist like crazy. That way you can dump out on paper everything that goes on your head for all the systems that you do. Okay. And then next week we can talk about just driving sales. What your metrics are as well. And by the way, a last point that I want to say before the last question that I ask you is, you talked about, 120, lost 50. Okay. You're in the 70s, 80s, whatever. When you get attached to numbers, this is why people hurt themselves who are stock market people, because they got attached to the money that they had. You got to understand this. So everything God gives us is with an open hand. It's like what Job says, the Lord takes and the Lord gives and the Lord takes away. Don't get attached to a number. Sometimes in life, he's going to be blessing you bountifully, like Joseph in Egypt, blessed bountifully, but also famine. Prepare, set aside, that way you're not focused on what's coming in each month as much. You're trying to build the things that help the things that go on. But at the end of the day, Don't focus on the end result. Focus on what you can control that affects the end result, which is just what I talked about with our goals with goal setting. I'm not focused on subscriber count. I'm focused on, am I making videos every day?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to lose subscribers. I'm going to gain subscribers. I cannot be attached to 10, 20, 100, 200. You know, when it goes up and up and up, let's say I do something that people don't like. Let's say I'm like bold with faith, whatever, and people are, who's this guy? You know, unsubscribe because they maybe saw me in a random interview. They're like, oh, I like that guy, what he said. And then I talk about faith. Oh, what the heck? You know, thousands of people go.
Right.
Don't care about end result. Well, care about it, but think about the things that affect the end result. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So that will help you because, dude, you know what could also happen in a couple months? The Lord blesses you with 5 excellent men who are drivers, and then your thing goes to 200 or something. And then what are you going to think? Oh, Lorenzo, wow, Lorenzo, you know, no.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? So focus on that affect it, and don't be so, you know, attached to the end result of it.
And that is a great point. I appreciate you, you know, addressing that because that's, you know, that's what it is. And the number, I pay attention to my numbers, but when they get to a certain point, that's what I said. I make myself too big too fast. I need to focus on, you know, consistency and where exactly I want to drive the business. I know, but I need to make, you know, have everyone around me, you know exactly where I'm going, or else we'll just be all over the place. And just, man, that's important, man. I appreciate that. That's important.
So I'll post this. I'll post this. I'll send you the few notes that I wrote down. But before we go, any questions that you have? I mean, we talked about a slew of things. We had a lot of aha moments. Any questions? Any last statements that you have with this?
So as far as the, because I did, as far as like delegating the work, do I start doing that this week, or do I just go through all the tasks that I do and put like little bullet points on, you know, step by step, and then next week I'll work on, you know, giving it to the correct person or finding out, you know?
Yes, because that's what I would say, because every time, if we want to delegate, we're delegating for the purpose of freeing up our time. If right now we delegate without having lists of what they're supposed to do, well, it's what we said before. All you're going to do is actually add a task, because now you're hoping the task is done well, but now you're going to have to pick up. So all you're doing is adding a task. Whereas if you just did it yourself, you wouldn't have to worry about that. So yes, you have to make sure you have your checklist done. And I knew that that's why this conversation would be so good for you, because delegating can be a stressful thing. It's like, Paul, you want me to delegate? Oh, I'm going to have to, But now that we have checklists, we're like, oh, this is why this makes it so much easier, because they can reference the checklist. So that's why I'm saying hammer out those checklists. Like really, really think that way. Next time you do delegate, they literally are, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, you know, that's it. So make sure that those are done before, you know, you're focused on just delegating the different things.
Yeah, that's it, man. Because that's what I do. Oh, do this.
Yep.
And expect them, or you know what to do, or you know I told you to do this. And in my mind, because I know if you said, just like you just said, Lorenzo, you said go back and figure out, I have a list of like the things that I do. So you said go back and each thing that you do, write out a checklist.
Yeah.
See, you're telling me that. And I know that this is going to benefit, and it has. Everything that you share with me, and I thank God and I appreciate you, it has, you know, it built me in a way, you know, or it saved. You don't realize how much of my business, you know, you saved. You really don't, man. And I'm blessed and grateful for that. And that's why every time we end the video, I send that text, because it's like, man, this dude opened my mind to things that I wasn't thinking about, or I could have thought about, but just I'm blown right by him. So I'm grateful to have you there. But as far as when I do to ask, you know, something of someone, I say, okay, go out and sell, for example, and get us some more business. in my mind, I know how I would do it. I would go out. All right, how do I? What do I need to do? How do I approach this situation? And I'm expecting them to do that, but they get in front of the task and they're just like, just like that, like
Exactly.
I don't know, but having those points in there that's something I'm definitely going to do, man. That's something I'm definitely going to do. So I appreciate that. And before I delegate anything, I'm going to make sure before I tell somebody to sell, or handle accounting, I'm going to have those things in order, and not just expect them to know how to sell just because I know how to do it or know how to manage, the finances and everything, because I've learned to do it. And I guess that's my way of making somebody, making somebody better. I put so much pressure on the people around me, not because I can't do it but because that's how I learned, and that's how to where I am, because I just, I pushed through it. I worked on it. I figured certain things out. So I try to push them to the limit so that they can do it, but it eventually, either breaks them, bores them, or they just can't figure it out. And that's my fault, as a leader, because everybody doesn't, learn that way. And I have to, know that. So, well, yeah, Paul, I'm going to get the objectives done. In each task that, I do on a daily basis. And I'll start seeing, who can handle what's going to stay with me, and, go from there. I'm going to get better at that. Yeah, I'm going to get better at that. And I pray for me. You, whoever's going to be watching our video, just pray that, and I know God will see me through, because I put him first before, I do anything. That's why he led me to you, to help me. And but just pray that I can get all these things done, while maintaining the business, if I can say that.
Yes.
So
yes.
So just to keep everything above, so that it won't come crashing down, because these are some vital roles that need to be played. These are some tasks that need to be attacked right away. So something behind me is not going to get the amount of attention that it needs, because this is important. Can't keep moving forward without these things in place, or it's just going to continue to be in chaos, man. And with that being said, thanks again for sharing with me.
Froze. Froze, oh man. Is that me? They're not reference.